My brother,
Yes. Siphiwe, how are you?
brother
Yes,
Paliani,
yes, yes,
Salbola.
yes. Friend, how are you?
And Stadritu, I'm good.
All right,
I'm
wonderful.
good.
Where are you? Are you in US or Guinea-Bissau?
I'm in Guinea-Bissau,
Okay.
and
I,
you are
I,
in Malawi.
Malawi, yeah.
Malawi. All right,
Okay, yeah.
listen.
Mm,
The recording is already going,
okay.
so let me
Mm,
set this up. Okay.
okay. Mm,
Um, it is like a 20-year reunion for us, right? The
yes.
past 2 days, we attended this
Mm, mm.
International African Spirituality Symposium,
Symposium. Yes.
and we realized, wow, it has been
Mm.
20 some odd years, right?
Yeah.
And we both have been on this
Mm.
parallel
Yes.
journey that
Hmm.
encompasses
Yeah,
Rastafari,
exactly.
traditional African
Hmm.
spirituality,
Yeah.
um, a lot of work on the
Mm,
ground.
mm,
I
mm,
know
mm,
I saw the book that you just got
mm,
published.
mm,
Congratulations.
Many thanks. Yeah.
So when I reached out to you
Mm,
to invite you to this, I thought, you know what?
mm,
I bet our
mm.
conversation
Yes.
would be really
Yeah.
impactful and
Mm,
powerful. So
mm-hmm.
as we catch up with each other, right,
All
I
right.
wanted to record it, document it, because I think
Yeah.
a lot of good things will come out of
Yes.
this because we've been on such a journey.
Yes.
So, for the benefit of people who will see
Mm,
this,
mm-hmm.
introduce yourself and then
Okay.
introduce how we first got to know each other.
Okay. All right. No, many thanks, my brethren, Sipiwe. As a matter of an introduction, as you put it rightly, we attended the African Spirituality Symposium that ended yesterday on the 3rd, and it started on the 2nd. We interacted in that platform, that space, but our, you know, relationship in terms of working together goes back to over 20 years ago when both of us were, trotting Rastafari and getting involved in quite a number of activities to promote the Rastafari movement. And I was still in Malawi at that time, and you were in the US, and we had quite a number of activities going on leading to the international conference, which was held in South Africa. Was that 2006, 2007? I can't recall
It
the
was
exact
2006. Yeah, it was
2006.
2006. Yeah.
Yes, 2006. But leading to that, before 2006, Beijing, and there was an email list that had been created where we were sharing, reasonings and preparations towards the 2006 event in South Africa, which was called the Global Rastafari. I've just forgotten the name of the
I think
conference.
I think it was called the Rastafari Inity Summit.
Aha, yes,
Yes.
something like that. Which month was it? Was it July or
No,
November?
no, actually, I have to check. I have the records. I
Okay,
wrote a report. I documented
mm,
it.
okay.
I think it was actually, it may have been November.
November for the coronation of His Majesty.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think it
should
might
be
have been around
November.
November.
November, yeah, okay, yes. Yeah, sure. So I think 2004, uh, around that's when we got in touch. And yeah, 2003, 2004, and then because the summit itself took quite a long time to be organized, to take shape and to be hosted by South Africa. Unfortunately, I didn't attend, but I was following all the deliberations, the preparations, and there were some meetings before that. You had gone to the AU quite a number of times, some platforms where you
Yes.
represented us, and then you would give reports, on those engagements in the diaspora and also in the other platforms like the AU, I think UN as well. So there were quite a number of activities that were going on, and there was also a newsletter or something, or like a magazine that we're involved with, which
There was
was coming out sharing the.
yeah, at that time
Okay, you
there
want to say
was
something? There was.
Rastaites was the
Yes.
main, this was
Mm.
when we were just starting to really use the internet for
Oh, yes,
communication
yes.
and
Mm,
organizing. This was
mm,
back in
mm.
2003, and it was
Rust eyes.
Rastaites was our
Yes,
central hub. All for the
yes,
first time, the
yes.
Rastafari family
Mm,
worldwide had
mm,
a
mm.
central
Yeah.
platform where
Mm,
everybody from Rasta in every country was
yes.
sending information in an
Information. Yeah.
effort to
Yes. Mm, yeah.
organize, centralize, come as one,
Hmm.
and set up
Yeah.
a global Rastafari secretariat. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Rasta eyes. Yes. And there was a brethren from one of the Caribbean islands. I've just forgotten his name, because you were the two that we're looking up to, you and that brethren, but I've forgotten.
Junior Negus.
Junior Nigas, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
Junior Negus, who was
Yeah.
serving as
Mm,
the
mm,
um, general secretary for the
mm, mm.
Rastafari Global Conference
Yeah.
that had taken place in Jamaica. So all
Okay.
the houses and
Mm,
mansions and
yes.
Rasta people in Jamaica
Okay.
and the
Mm.
Caribbean at large
Caribbean, yes,
had come
yes.
together for a global reasoning in
Mm.
2003. He was the
2003, yes.
secretariat, and he
Yes,
was
yes.
also serving as the elect of records for the
Okay. Mm,
Nyabingi
mm.
house. So yes,
Okay.
he and I, your
Okay.
memory is very good.
Yes,
He and
yes,
I
yes,
were
yes.
working in tandem
Together.
to make
Yes.
all this thing happen on a
Uh-huh.
global level.
Yeah. Level. Yeah. 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 Yes. So that was it. And yeah, that's when because I kept the emails. I've got an archive for all those emails, including the last
Wow.
email that you sent. Uh, I remember that one, a long email. I think that's the something that we can also discuss. A long email, the last one, the very last one, which
Ah,
shocked everyone. And I was also one of the people that got shocked to say, "Ah, but what's happening with the brethren? We have been working together. The summit is over." And then he says he's on a spiritual journey. He has to move on. Then we say, "Ah, but this is it. So where is he moving on?" So quite a number of reactions from the brethren, the elders, to say, "Yeah, we told you, this one is CIA. So look what he has done. He has just gotten the information and he's gone." So for me, I also didn't understand what was happening. But later on, after taking a similar journey, that's when I understood to say, okay, so this was what was actually going on with my brethren. So I remember that time you bid the farewell to say, yeah, bye-bye, no more emails or activities to do with the movement that we were working on together, and that was it. I think that was 2000 what? Was it 2006 or 2007?
2007. It was right
2007,
after
after the
the
summit.
the
Mm,
we had the summit
mm,
in South
yeah,
Africa. Right
2006,
after
yes.
that was the
Mm,
the summit that we
mm,
had in Barbados, where we were
okay.
supposed to implement the
Mhm,
repatriation census.
mhm,
The
mm,
Barbados government, through its
mm,
Commission for Pan-African
mm,
Affairs, had
mm,
organized this conference
mm,
with
mm,
governments, and we were
mhm,
supposed to be presenting the results of the
mm,
repatriation census and
yeah,
facilitating um,
mm,
um, the
mm,
Ethiopian Millennium repatriation. And
yeah,
then after that was the African Union Grand Debate on the United
mm,
States of Africa. It was
okay,
held in
okay.
Ghana. And I
Uh-huh.
went there and I attended
Mm,
that. And it was after that where I sent
mm,
that letter and I said,
mm,
okay,
mm, mm.
uh, it was a new season for me, a new
Yeah.
calling. And we can get into
Mhm.
that later.
Yeah, later,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
But I want to
Okay.
know what happened to you in your
Okay.
journey at that point
Yes.
to bring you up to
Yeah.
where you are now today.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So from there, yeah, I moved on with the activities. Like we had, I also got involved with a brethren we call Chims with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. We got in touch with the church, and we were trying to explore possibilities of bringing the Ethiopian Orthodox Church to Malawi. And it was like the Rastafarians at the forefront to make that arrangement. And with that brethren, Chims, we worked together, and then we got in touch with the other brethren who were also passionate about the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So that was 2007, 8, 9, and then 2010, I went to South Africa to study. That was for the master's degree at the Wits University in Johannesburg. 2010, I was there until 2011, came back. Then the initiative of the Orthodox didn't materialize as it was, as we had planned and as we were working, until recently in this year, 2026 March. That's when we had the first service of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which was conducted in Malawi. We had the priest who came from Uganda, who takes care of the East African region. But then, of course, others had also jumped in and supported the initiative. But it started with us way back in 2005, 2006 with the brethren. But then along the way, others came in. We have the Ethiopian community, Eritrean community in Malawi. So they took the initiative further. So I was invited to attend because it had a historical, story out of it. So I was part of the event just to support the initiative that I was involved in. So that was part of it. And then on the other hand, it was I think around 2012, 2013. Yeah, 2013, 2014, those years. I had a friend because initially my rise in consciousness dates back to around 1999 when I had just left high school, right, and then waiting to get to the university. So we had some brethren from Jamaica who came to Malawi. Initially, they came in 1997 for a concert. There were 5 artists from Jamaica who came to perform in Malawi. Junior Delgado was one of them. Chris Inti was also one of them. So there was a Jamaican entrepreneur based in England, Ras Bobby Morgan. So he organized the artists to come to Malawi. For the first time, we had Jamaican artists to perform in Malawi. So it was also it also contributed to the rising of consciousness, Rastafari consciousness, at that juncture, 1997. It was in November as well. Then I was still at high school, so we had a brethren, a friend who was ahead of me in the 2 classes ahead of me. So we started talking about Rastafari and all that. So that's what opened up in terms of the path towards consciousness in Pan-Africanism and Rastafari. And 98, the following year, the first privately owned radio station was established in the country in Malawi, because all along we had the state broadcaster, and then the 94 change of government we had the one-party state, authoritarian until 93, then 94, a new government came in. So when the new government came in, it opened up the spaces, even the rising of Rastafari as an organized movement. The transition to multi-party democracy opened up the spaces. That's when we had the first congregation of Rastafari, 1994, 1995. The first 2 congregations emerged in 1994, 95 because of the opening up of the political a space for civic organizations, freedom of assembly, expression, and so on and so forth. So then that also opened up the airwaves for the private sector to get in. So 98, Bob Morgan partnered with a Malawian, a son of the cabinet minister then, to establish a radio station called 101 FM. I understand they also have 101 radio station in Jamaica. So this was a version of Malawi. So pretty much it was focusing on promotion of Pan-Africanism and Rastafari consciousness. So reggae music, programs on Rastafari and all that for the first time. So it was like an eye opener for the youths, those of us who were rising up around that time, because the one-party state was authoritarian, so you couldn't get literature on Pan-Africanism. Some of the literature was banned by the state, like writings of Kwame Nkrumah. You couldn't get them, were banned. You couldn't talk about Rastafari, His Imperial Majesty. Besides the head of state that we had, he was a demigod, so you only talk about him and him only. So the coming in of the radio station in the absence of literature on Pan-Africanism opened up, to some of us, the connections and the knowledge on Pan-Africanism and Rastafari consciousness. So that's when 99, when I was finishing high school, then I embraced, the Rastafari consciousness. And then we had a friend. I had a friend who, before I met him and others, when the radio station started, we had about 3 Jamaicans who were running some programs on the radio station. There was Junior Manning, Aista J, he's late, Michael Ibo Cooper, Third World keyboardist. He's also late. He was in the country.
Yeah, Junior Manning, Aista J. Yes.
Yeah. So the two played an instrumental role in growth of Rastafari in Malawi in terms of literature, knowledge, and because they were elders, and mostly the Rastafarians you could find in 1990s around that time were youths, so there was no elder. So the two coming in, they were like now the elders who had been in the movement for quite some time. So
Let me stop and ask you a question. So
yes.
my older brethren is Ras Jabari. Ras Jabari is from Atlanta, Georgia. He was the one that established the Nyabingi House, the Tabernacle in Covington, right? He came to Malawi sometime around this time. Do you remember when Ras Jabari came?
Yes, Jabari, he should be, it should be before 98. He came actually twice, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The first time he came should be 95, 96, there
Yeah,
about.
sometime, yeah, I think so.
95, 96 from Atlanta. Yeah, it was before Junior Manning and the Power 101 came in. Yes, so if I'm not wrong, is it not the one who he came with the sister, like his empress? It should be the one.
I don't recall that. I just remember that he came to Malawi early, and it made a big impact on him when he came back. And so
yeah, I think he came twice. The second time, that's when he came with the empress. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, I recall Jabari, and then when there was an incident. So I'm coming to African spirituality. So it has got a background.
Go ahead. Yes.
Why I found myself, proceeding, not really abandoning, but because I took it as a journey that Rastafari showed us the way. like a signpost to say, yeah, this is not the end. The journey still continues, and this is where you
Yes.
go. Without Rastafari, I think I wouldn't have, proceeded with the journey to where I am. But I give credit to the reasonings in Rastafari and the knowledge that we got there, which pointed the way towards African spirituality, which is what yeah, strengthened the consciousness and all that. So the background comes from, and you can see that even where we are, there's where I am. I can't talk about the current status without making reference to Rastafari, the
Yes.
impact and the influence. So you have the radio station is in 98, and then the Jamaicans come in, the elders, 98 and also 99 for the first anniversary of the radio station, because it started on the 1st of October. So 1st of October 99, they come in, and that's the time when I had just arrived home from the high school. So it happens, and then the Iced J and the Igbo Cooper were then attending the Sabbath gatherings to provide some, lessons and experiences from JA. At that time, I had not been visible to attend, but that's what I hear from the brethren who were part of the gathering. So every Saturday, they would meet for the Sabbath gathering. Then what happened was that around November 99, the police had heard, okay, because the gathering space was next to a Catholic church. Actually, it's a park which belongs to the Catholic Church, right? Because there's a park, so they were meeting in the park. Then next to the park is a parish for the Catholic Church. So the story is that the priests of the Catholic Church had gone to police to complain, to say, every Saturday we have these rastas, they come and they smoke marijuana and all that, and this is not good for us. So the police then planned to come and arrest the Rastafarians on the Sabbath gathering. So as people were coming, the brethren walking, others had already arrived, but others were on the way. So they found that the police were already on the space, and they started searching everyone who was there, and some were found with some small quantities of cannabis, and they were taken by the police. So the gathering was disrupted like that. Others, as they were coming, they could hear from people who had passed by the park and then had witnessed what had happened. And then groups of Rastafarians are on the way to the Sabbath gathering. So they'll be informed by people along the way to say, no, don't go, don't proceed. This is what has happened. Your colleagues have been arrested by the police, and the event has been disrupted. So then after a few hours, maybe 2-3 hours, others are still on the way. And then the place has been cleared, and a few still came and met. So the discussion was, so what has happened? Oh, others have been picked and all that. Now, what happens now? Then in the interest of safety and all that, let's just go home. So as they were going home, some started talking to say, okay, this has been disrupted because of cannabis and all that, but the messages are still the reasonings are still vital for us to engage in. So what should we do? Okay, let's change the day. Instead of meeting next Saturday, let's meet on a Sunday, and let's just stick to Pan-Africanism, Pan-African consciousness, and we'll not be talking about marijuana and all that, so that when police come, it's just consciousness, Africa, and all that. So those of us who are interested to continue with the reasoning, let's meet next Sunday. So that formed the birth of an organization called Pan-African Movement of Malawi, which was now pretty much on Pan-African consciousness, right? But those that founded it were some Rastafarians and some youths who were coming to the gatherings just to, listen to the Jamaicans preaching or teaching about Rastafari, reggae music, and Pan-Africanism, because the space was open to anyone who would be interested to come and, engage in Pan-Africanism, consciousness, and all that. So Pan-African Movement gets started as an organization, meeting every Sunday. So that's when I heard now from a Rasta brethren who was 2 classes ahead of me at the high school, had been attending the Sabbath gatherings and had talked to me about the disruption by the police and the formation of this new movement. And then he encouraged me to become part of this movement. So together we began attending the weekly meetings of the new organization, Pan-African Movement. So are you there? I think I lost you. Okay. Siphiwe.
Okay. We are continuing. Can you hear me? Testing,
Yes,
testing.
yes.
Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you. Loud
Yeah,
and clear.
we are both in Africa right now, so these things sometimes happen with the
Oh,
power going out
yes.
or
Oh,
the
yeah,
internet.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So
One of
let's
those things,
continue.
yeah.
Yeah, you were
Okay,
saying
so
about how the from Rasta and from the radio, the
yes.
consciousness, the reasoning was coming.
Aha.
Then you had this
Aha.
event, and then you made this decision to deal with the Pan-African consciousness, even though it was coming from the Rasta center. And then what happened?
Aha. Then when the brethren, we were calling him Ras Matthews. He's also late now in flesh. Ras Matthews, who was 2 classes ahead of me at the high school, and then he talked to me about the event, the disruption, and then the formation of the new movement out of the gathering of the Rastafari, which the police had disrupted. So I was introduced to that new movement by Ras Matthews, and together we started attending. So I went for the first time. That's when I met this brother called Chifuno, right? Chifuno Mlambe. So he was one of those who had attended that gathering, which was disrupted by the police. No, he had not attended, but he had been attending those gatherings, and he was on the way. On the day the police disrupted, he was on the way going, and then he was part of that discussion to form this new movement out of the Sabbath gatherings. So we talked, I met him there and others. So we had been running this organization from 1990. I joined in, it was formed towards the end of 99. I came part of it at the beginning of 2000, and we were part of it, running it 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. When we were getting in touch, we still had this organization running. Now, Chifuno, was the first now because at that time he was, yes, Pan-African consciousness, he was rising in, but still he was belonging to one of the Christian churches. So he was the first now to gravitate towards African spirituality. Around 2007, we had an event which I missed. I did not attend because I had traveled to Swaziland then, May 2007. So we had an event to celebrate Africa Day on 25th of May 2007. So I was part of the team organizing that event, but then eventually it coincided with my trip to Swaziland in May 2007. So my friends attended. So that's where he saw for the first time a libation being poured for the Africa Day event by a brother who had been in UK studying, and then he came back. He had embraced Rastafari in UK, but eventually he gravitated towards African spirituality. So the event was taking place at his residence. So when they were beginning the session, he said, no, we pour a libation to open everything, and he closed with a libation. So it was an eye-opener for my friend Chifuno to say, but what is this now? What is happening? So he became interested, and after the event, he went to the brother to ask about how everything is done and all that. So he was fascinated to say, but this is what we have been searching when we were starting this organization. We wanted to move towards that direction, but we didn't know, where to go. So at that stage, before that event, around 2004, I and my friend Chims, as trotting Rastafari, we had heard about African traditional spirituality, and there was somewhere where some elders were meeting and doing a libation and all that. So we had gone there to meet one of the priests at that time, but it was part of us learning as well. So we went, we found a priest, we engaged, talked about African spirituality. It was inspiring for us, but then we didn't really, it wasn't really a calling at that stage to say we have to embrace it and all that. Then later on, when Chifuno was then talking to me to say, when we were away, we had this event and this is what happened. And from now onwards, I've now embraced African spirituality full throttle. And then he knew that I had a soft spot, and he was talking to me to say, but look, this is what we have been searching for. The reason why we started this organization and running it, this is where we were supposed to go. But then for me, I didn't take it seriously until around 2012, 2013, 2014, I had moved to Botswana, 2012, to work had. So, but with Chifuno, we're still engaging, and still searching, on my own, and then while in Botswana, I think 2015, thereabout, that's when, 2014, 2015, I took a decision to say, no, I think there's a calling here. Rastafari, yes, we are trotting, but that's not the final destination. We are destined to move beyond where we are, and that's when I then embraced African spirituality with Chifuno then as an inspiration, because he was the first, to take that step, and he could talk to me about that, to say, yeah, this is it, and we have a role to play in this area. So together, then we started working together.
So let me stop you there for a moment.
Okay.
Because
yes.
We really have traveled a very, very similar journey. One of us, each one of us on both sides of the Atlantic, because you were born in what year?
81, 10 years after you. Yeah.
Okay, you were born in 81. All right. Yeah. But you started to come into Rastafari in the late 1990s, just like myself. Okay. Then this same Ras Jabari from Atlanta comes into both of our lives. We both start trotting Rastafari. Our paths converge for the first time at that moment when the Rastafari movement was trying to organize and centralize itself as a global spiritual movement that had a Pan-African philosophy, but was also had its religious aspects. And we were trying to establish a Rastafari global government and a Rastafari global secretariat. So those vibrations, those frequencies, we were both tuned to, and that's how we came together at that time. Now here it is, 20 some odd years later, we are tuned to another frequency that has to deal with indigenous African traditional spirituality. And for both of us, it was Rastafari that pointed us to these things. All right, so before we get into the conversation about traditional African spirituality, first of all, I see in your background, you're showing your book, right? So I just want everybody to know, right, that you are, and I'm going to put it on my screen. I have it here. Hold on. I have it here. You are the author of the book, The Rastafari Movement in Malawi, from One-Party State Era and Beyond. It was published March 26, 2026. It's available on Amazon. And as you mentioned, you're not just telling the history of Rastafari in Malawi as an outside academic researcher. You're actually talking about things that you helped to shape. You played a significant role. So I just want everybody to know that you are Paliani Chinguwo. Am I saying it correctly? Chinguwo. Yeah.
Yes, author. Correct.
Yes. And so we would say, a part of the founders of the Rastafari movement in Malawi, and I would say the elect of records, right? The historian of the movement in Malawi, just as I am elect of records for the movement that started in Chicago in 1919, right? Yes. So before we start talking about the traditional African spirituality, I do want to discuss a little bit, because you mentioned this. So first of all, my question to you, what was your relationship, if any, with the Rastafari Youth Initiative and General Salem, who was the group that was organizing the Rastafari Inity Summit that took place in South Africa in 2006? What was your relationship and were you connected with them?
There was no direct connection beyond the the email list that had been created
Okay.
as a platform, as a portal where the information would be shared and contributions made towards the summit. So as far as I recall, that was how I participated in terms of the preparations for the for that summit, but not
Okay.
directly involved with that organization per se, but through that email list, because the internet had just come in, and the way of communication was through those emails, and the magazine that was coming, the I rights, is it? We were calling I rights, Rasta Ites. So that was the relationship that was there. But because you and Junior Negas were prominent in the forefront of organizing the whole initiative, so we were looking up to you as our leaders in terms of putting things together, and we were now coming in to support the initiative and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. So here is a picture of me in 1996, 1997 as Ras Nathaniel, right? With the time that I was coming into the movement, at the same time as you, and we had produced this Ethiopia to Chicago exhibit because at that time for us, right? I remember we were getting ready to, at one point, celebrate Emperor Haile Selassie's visit to Jamaica. And I remember saying in the reasoning, why are we celebrating Haile Selassie's visit to Jamaica and we're not celebrating Haile Selassie's visit to America? He came to Chicago in 1954, 12 years before he went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Why don't we know anything about this? Why are we seeing Rastafari through this Jamaican lens? And we know more about the history of what happened in Jamaica. We don't even know our own relationship with Haile Selassie in Chicago. So we, as young Rosses, right, we did the research. That's how we learned about the Abyssinian mission that was sent to Chicago in 1919, how Grover Redding and Reverend Webb were the first to start preaching about, the universal Black King and pledging allegiance to the government of Rastafari. So we started to do that. However, here is, again, this was a shot from the Rastaites website, and it was advertising a quiz. And if you can answer 100 questions on Rastafari and Pan-Africanism, you could win a ticket to Ethiopia. I actually won that quiz. That is how I went to Africa for the first time. I never bought a ticket, right? I won the quiz on the Rastaites website, and that's how I got my plane ticket to Ethiopia, which is how I got to the African Union and started filing those reports. Okay. Now, just going through a little bit of the history, but this is what I wanted to come to. So when I got to Ethiopia, right, it was Ras Zailan, this brethren right here. He was a student of Mortimer Plano, who, met with His Majesty at least twice and received 2 medals.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, so he left Jamaica, left Mortimer Plano, went to London during the centenary, 1992, and then forwarded to Ethiopia. And he was the one established the African Caribbean Self-Help Foundation that sponsored the contest that I won, and that's how I got to Ethiopia. So it was Ras Zailan. When I got there, he said, Ras Nathaniel, he said, you write articles for the Rastafari newspaper, Rastafari Speaks newspaper. which was a real newspaper. It was printed, it was published and distributed in Jamaica, America, Canada, England. Maybe some of them even found their way into South Africa and other parts of Africa.
Malawi as well. Yeah, Malawi as well. Yeah.
So I was a journalist writing for that newspaper when I went to Ethiopia because of this man, Ras Zailan. And when I got there, he took me to the Ministry of Information to register. You can see here, Rastafari Speaks newspaper, to register as a journalist, a real foreign journalist from a real newspaper, Rastafari Speaks, and I got my media credentials. And it was because of those media, in Ethiopia, from the Ministry of Information. It was because of these media credentials that I was allowed past security to go into the African Union where the heads of states were. This is how I became Ras Nathaniel.
Anambe tandia tsire nije invite.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Yes.
Okay, good. Another internet interruption, but we will continue.
Yeah, sure.
So I was sharing my screen and I was telling the story.
You were talking about the credentials to get into the Heads of State Summit. Yeah, that's where you were.
Yes. So that was how I was able to go to the African Union and start this career as a diplomat for Afro-descendant people Rastafari people, but not just Rastafari, for all the African people in the diaspora. It started with this. And this is what eventually led to my work with Junior Negus and to that Rastafari Inity Summit in South Africa. That's where I want to get to for a minute. Just like you, I published a book about Haile Selassie coming to America. And I published a lot about the Rastafari movement in the United States, just as you have published about the Rastafari movement in Malawi. But what I want to get to, these are pictures of me and during those days when we were reasoning on Rastaites. This is me. This is my meeting in Washington, D.C. with the community in Washington, D.C. Right. This is me this is Jabari. Me and Jabari up with Ross Ravin in Massachusetts. This is me with Negus Amlak in Hartford, Connecticut with the Ethiopian World Federation. So at that same time that you and I in America and Malawi, we were reasoning through the internet and through Rastaites and preparing for this Rasta Inity Summit. I was traveling around the whole Western Hemisphere. Here I am in Trinidad and Tobago. All of this was in preparation for that summit, right? Here we were, there's me and Jabari again. This is the Rastafari, the first Hispanic Rastafari Summit, or the first Rastafari Summit in the Hispanic world. So the Rastafari brethren and sisters in Central and South America sometimes were left out of a lot of things because they speak Spanish and not English. And a lot of the information was published in English. A lot of the reasonings were taking place in English. So they were kind of left out. And we realized if we're going to organize the Rastafari family globally, we got to be able to get those that are speaking Spanish and Portuguese and all the other languages. So Ras Jabari and I, just like we organized that summit, or helped to organize that summit in Rasta Inity Summit in South Africa, we organized the first regional Rastafari summit in South America. Me and Ras Jabari. Here we are at the opening ceremonies, right? I talked about the Ethiopia to Barbados. I was invited to give the inaugural Marcus Garvey lecture, sponsored by the Commission for Pan-African Affairs of the Government of Barbados, right? That was August 2005. This was leading up to that South Africa event. So a lot of work was going on, right? Where I was traveling on different continents. I had no money, no organ. It was solely by that divine energy, those divine irids. Now, have you seen this video before? So this is Brother Tao Tao.
Yeah, Tao
he
Tao,
was
yes.
there. Yeah, he was there when I arrived in South Africa, and he tells the story about how I got my name. All right, hold on. I need to share my audio too. Hold on, share sound. So this is Tao Tao talking about my visit.
Ultimately, thank you to my old-time brother, Siphiwe Baleka. I was there at his name-giving ceremony. Siphiwe is a Nguni word that will be Zulu, Xhosa, Swati, Ndebele, name for a gift. Baleka means run. We were saying to him, run away from the diaspora. So Siphiwe Baleka means a gift that must run away from colonialism. So it was around 2006. We're having an international Rastafari gathering. He was there as an educator, as a facilitator, very active, very energetic, kept us busy. We took him around South Africa. We went to the universities. We went to so many places. We held even an international conference. So he's my old-time brother. We used to have this long dreadlocks. So when he tell you that he was a Rasta man, is a true story.
Abene. Abene bin Amneyo Ule. Abene Softa Tia Queen Mother Nina Womack. Abene Sofda Tia Prophet Anyanwu. Kumama Tudus. Greetings to all. Abene is thank you in my ancestral language, my beloved. Okay. So anyways,
you also went on SABC TV. So
yes,
we were watching
correct.
all that. We were following. There was a panel discussion on SABC. You had put on a military suit with long dreadlocks and with your sneakers. I remember the session on
it's
SABC.
A small world.
Yeah,
it's a small world. Yes, I was on with Ross Gareth Prince and Yah Santiwa, and we were talking about
cannabis.
Gareth was talking about the issue with the legalization of the cannabis. We were talking about Rastafari, all the Rastafari issues. So for me,
I watched that one.
For me, I'm laughing inside to understand that I was on. You were watching me in Malawi when I was on South African TV as far back as 2006. Yes,
and I remember the attire that we were putting on that day in the studio in the SABC.
But that was not just for SABC. At that time in my life, I took my role as a high-level ambassador, diplomat for the Rastafari family worldwide very seriously. I mean, as a Rasta, you know, when you get serious about it, right, you know, is your life, is your liberty. And so in that role, right, I wasn't playing, I was being it. And so I had to look the part just like His Majesty. His Majesty was always wearing these military uniforms. So I had a wardrobe of various camouflage and khaki uniforms where I took Rasta patches, either Lion of Judah patches, flags, whatever. I would sew them on the uniforms. And whenever I appeared in public, and even in private most of the time, this is what I was wearing, so that you never know at what moment you're going to have to represent your nation. So I wanted to be ready 24/7 at all times. So that was my wardrobe at the time, right? All the time, because I was meeting with governments, I was speaking on TV, I was meeting with communities and the people and things like that, and they needed to know that I was in that capacity. So the thing that I'm really interested in now is, you say you remember, right? After that, I had wrote a message. It was called Irie's Last Trumpet, where I was explaining, right, how this campaign that I led, along with Ras Jabari, along with Junior Negus, and all the houses and mansions, it was supposed to result in 10,000 Rastafari brethren and sisters from the West repatriating to the continent for the start of the Ethiopian millennium, which was September 11th, 2007.
2007, yeah.
All of that campaign was based on His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie's proclamation. We called it the Star Order Proclamation that he gave on April 14th, 1961. Where he said all ministries must work according to a 5-year plan, okay, that has already been decided, and they must prepare their yearly plans in accordance with this 5-year plan. When Emperor Haile Selassie gave that proclamation, it was on April the 14th, 1961. I was born on April the 14th, 1971. Exactly 10 years, the start of the third 5-year plan commissioned by Haile Selassie. So my birth to me is a sign, African spirituality is a sign. I am born on the day that Haile Selassie said we have to work with these 5-year plans. And it was now the end of the second and the start of the third. And so in my IRITs, I said, where is the 5-year plan for Rastafari that specifically leads to repatriation? We didn't have one. So I created one. I had brought it to the Organization of Afro-American Rastafari Unity. It was modeled on Malcolm X's Organization of African American Unity, which was modeled on Emperor Haile Selassie's Organization of African Unity. So you have OAU, then for African Americans, you have OAAU, and then for Rastafari in America, you have OAARU. I brought the 5-year plan to the OAARU National Convention that was called and hosted by Ras Jabari, and it was approved. After it was approved, I then brought it to Junior Negus and the houses in Jamaica, and it was approved. And from that came the plan to have the Rastafari Inity Summit in Jamaica, right? So that was the genesis of it.
Okay.
Now, the Rastafari, we went through a lot to try to get to that Inity moment. There was disputes between different...
IRASCOM, there was IRASCOM, and you. There was
that was just one.
Yes.
So there were all of the disorganization and obstacles to unity were revealed so that we could overcome them. So for example, there was obstacles or disunity among the various houses and mansions within Jamaica. Okay. Then there were the various problems because of Rastas speaking different languages. Then there were the regional differences. You had Rasta in the Caribbean versus Rasta in the United States versus Rasta on the continent.
Africa.
So all in that moment, we were trying to resolve all of those problems. It was not easy. And as you mentioned, it took several years. I worked on that campaign specifically for 5 years. Okay. By the time we got to the Rastafari Inity Summit, although we had reached a certain level of unity amongst the houses and mansions and regions, even within South Africa, there were problems. When I arrived, there were still problems within the different Rasta communities in South Africa. But ultimately, at the end of that campaign, what happened was we didn't collect the repatriation census forms that were needed to do the planning to move 10,000 people from the West to the continent. We were using as a model Operation Solomon, where when Eritrea and Ethiopia went to war in the early 1990s, there was a fear that the Falashas, in Ethiopia could be genocided out of history. And so Israel emergency airlifted 10,000 Falashas to Ethiopia. And I was saying, why we can't have an emergency airlift of 10,000 Rastas from the West back to Ethiopia and other places like Ghana and Malawi or wherever. So in my IRIT, I was called to do that, especially since that was the work Haile Selassie gave Mortimer Plano to do, the repatriation census. When Mortimer Plano met with Malcolm X in New York, Malcolm X got the same instruction from Haile Selassie. Malcolm met with Haile Selassie twice. Malcolm put in his memoirs, Haile Selassie is the greatest world leader. He was instructed to do a repatriation census. So here I am. I'm living in the basement of my Rasta elder, Elder Gabriel, who is a close brethren with Mortimer Plano, who was there when Mortimer Plano and Malcolm X met. So this legacy is being handed to me. I feel responsible for it because I'm the one with the press credentials and the security pass to go past security and meet with the heads of state. When the time came for us after the Inity Summit in South Africa to meet in Barbados at a meeting organized by the Barbados government and its Commission for Pan-African Affairs, where 10 governments were there to meet us, where I was to deliver the results of we only had like 100 repatriation census forms. And it looked like a joke. Here it was, the Rastafari community, organized and centralized, come as one, unification, Selassie I come from. Everything we talked about was what? Repatriation is a must. Repatriate. So we did all this talking, we did all this campaigning, we set up everything, and we failed to execute. At that moment, I became so disillusioned with the movement I was serving. We had done everything humanly possible within our means, and Jabari and I had nothing. How is it we were able to travel on 3-4 continents, visit all these Rasta communities and get them prepared? And when the moment of truth came, right before the Ethiopian millennium, there's only 100 out of the whole Rastafari family in the West. At that point, I was disillusioned with the movement. And I said that if I was meant to be a Moses to help lead our people back, they would have responded. They would have been on that vibration and frequency. I can't force a square peg into a round hole. But nobody could say Ras Nathaniel didn't make the effort to go to every Rastafari community, inform them of what was happening, and make the opportunity available to them. So when it didn't happen, spiritually, I was in a crisis. And that is what prompted that letter that I wrote saying, you know what? Here it is, September 11th has come and gone. Campaign is over. We didn't have the emergency airlift of 10,000 to the continent. My work here is done. It's now time for me to think about my own well-being, my own spiritual journey. What is it you want from me now? When I gave you my life, I gave everything to this, and it didn't manifest. You can imagine the spiritual crisis I was now facing. So, having now laid out that groundwork, you had mentioned that you remember what happened after I wrote that letter and what happened in the Rasta community and what people were saying. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, okay. Just a moment, because I was as you were talking, I was searching my in the archives, the past emails. I just found one email that speaks to the point that you have just raised. So just a moment, I had it opened here, but then
Rastafari Global Government at yahoo.com was the email we were using at that time.
Aha, you see? Yeah.
Yes.
So there is yeah, there was a lot of things that were said after you sent that letter. Actually, I also have that letter with me here. So as I'm searching for it, let me drop you an email here,
okay,
which shows that we were in touch. That was 2007, I think. So
yeah,
go through this. Okay, it's a okay. Let me. I found this email here. Just a moment. Just reorganizing the text here. I think it was it's over the limit, so I want to send it in.
Malanta, my paternal ancestral language. So I think the wise ancestors of.
I want to send it in 2 chunks.
Okay.
So it's continuing on the next text. So go through it as I'm searching for this email that I wanted to make reference to. Yeah.
See.
So you saw that email?
Okay. Yes.
So it was me. I was writing to you about Ras Jaberi. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. This is Wednesday. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I'm looking. This is April 4, 2007. It says, greetings and Rastafari blessings. Just returned from New York and just now have time to answer email. Ras Jabari email is blah, blah, blah. We'll look at Ras Ray's Malawi chronology. Most respectfully, Ras Siphiwe Nathaniel. Okay, so that was me writing to you. All right. All right. Yeah. And then you replied, Ras Nathaniel, would you send me email? Or maybe this was you.
Yeah, I think it was
reaching out to me. Yeah. Would you send me an email address for Ras Jabari? I need to urgently get in touch with him regarding the book project we are working on. I have a questionnaire for him to complete. I overstand in early 2006 or towards the end of 2005. You must have received an article in your inbox written by Ras Ray Kaifis on the chronological order of events regarding the Rastafari movement in Malawi. Would you please forward that article to me as soon as possible if you still have it? I was keeping it in my flash disk. Okay, so this was an example of some of the communications between you and I back in early 2007.
And the email talks about a book project, and this is the book. You know?
Yes. Okay.
So it comes from way back.
Yes. So even in this way, I'm somewhat connected to your book.
Yeah.
So again,
so the book, that's the point to say. This book we are talking about, you are actually part of the the project, because it comes from back then, you see. And Ras Ray we are talking about is one of the key informants in the book, and is one of the brethren who provided quite a lot of the information in the book. But the projects dates back from way back then, when you were also involved in terms of, you know.
Thank you for sharing that. And like I said, it's not a coincidence that we have reunited right now at this time after all these years. It's not a coincidence. And so this is all part of that story. What, you know, when I wrote that letter and I left, I literally disappeared. And I did not engage the Rastafari community for years. So I don't know what was the fallout from that. So in some ways, this is going to be the first time that I'm hearing firsthand from someone who was involved. So go ahead and let me know.
Yeah, sure. So the quite a lot of stories, you know, the Rastafari movement. So fire was, you know, blazed. Is a wolf in a sheep clothing, CIA agent, and all those things.
And just so you know, that you know that was always an issue because I had graduated from Yale University.
Ivy League.
Not just any Ivy League, Yale. Yale is the headquarters for the CIA hierarchies. You have the secret societies. A lot of the heads, the CIA chiefs have connections to Yale. So when I came on the scene globally, Rastafari, there was always that kind of suspicion. Right. So this wasn't, I just wanted to let you know, this wasn't the first time that I had to deal with that. It was always Yankee Dread and, oh, he went to Yale. So without any investigation, there was always that suspicion. All right, go ahead, continue.
Okay, okay. No, I get the point. I get the point. Okay. Yeah, so I think in a nutshell, those were the negative comments. So I want to share an email here, but then if I put it in the chat, there's that word limit. It won't come in full. So I want to paste it on Word, and then I share the Word document on the screen so that we can go through it together. Right? Because if I copy and paste it on the chat, it won't fit in full. So I'm requesting you to allow me to share the screen so that I project it on the screen here. Yeah, you okay? Am I allowed to share? Oh yes, yeah, good one. So okay, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so here's the email that I have found. When was it dated? I didn't capture the date, but then it's around, yeah, around that time, 20, yeah, March 2000. No, not March. Just after you had posted 2007, just after we had got in touch about Ras Jabali and all that. So I think this was written by you, because it was like, yeah, you see, Ras Nathaniel was an opportunist who used to be the Rastafarian. So some of the who used the Rastafarian movement, yeah. Ras Nathaniel was an opportunist who used the Rastafari movement, a confession. So I think this one then is your email. Yeah, the last email that you sent. It read like this, yeah. No, it's someone else, because someone else is saying, the purpose of this email is to bring about the healing and the growth of myself. Okay. How do I know that Nathaniel was an opportunist who used the Rastafari movement? Yeah, so I think this is someone else talking about you as an opportunist or something like of that fashion.
So when you got that letter and you read it, what did you think initially?
For me, to be honest, I shared the perspective, or I shared the sentiments with the at that stage with those that were blazing the fire, because you were not there to speak for yourself, so everyone else was ranting and saying all sorts of negative things about you, and there was no space for yourself to come in and explain yourself. So we ended up getting influenced or swallowing everything that was being posted in terms of the reactions to that, because at that stage I also didn't understand to say what is happening, what has happened for a brethren that were all following as a leader of the movement, and suddenly he just sends that email and disappears and says he's done and he's moving on. You see, so already, as you were pointing out, that some brethren were saying negative remarks about you when you were on the driving seat, and then it came out like to say, look, we were saying this, because all along I was understanding you and I was rallying behind you to say, okay, whatever is being said, but I think this brethren, the strength, the energy that I can feel in him, he's standing for the right cause, and I have to support him, amidst those negative remarks from other brethren to say, no, he's an imposter, CIA, and all those things. So when this happened, it was like a vindication to the to those that were negative about you, to say, look, we were saying all these things and you were supporting him, and look, he has abandoned along the way. So then it was like, oh, okay, maybe we didn't understand something about the brethren. Maybe the elders and the others were right about him. But for me, I didn't understand. And it took me years later when I also started going through my own journey towards African spirituality to understand, to say, okay, there comes a moment when you think that Rastafari is the end, is the final destination, and then you realize to say, no, no, no. I think the journey continues. That's when you begin to express yourself, others start to call you all sorts of names, to say you are an imposter, you are a sellout, nothing. They begin to disassociate yourself. I mean, disassociate themselves from you, and pretty much that is the experience that me and other brethren as well have also gone through, and I've tried to capture those experiences in the book. Not me alone, but also others who came to the enlightenment of African spirituality while trotting Nyabingi or Bobo Ashanti. And then when they start to express themselves in that fashion, they get the fire and they get ejected, and they have to suffer all sorts of harassment and victimization from within the Rastafari brethren. And in some instances, it became, in the Malawi context, as captured in the book, it became physical. Some brethren would be physically harassed, panga knives brought against the brethren. Why? Because they are talking about African spirituality. They are expressing themselves to say, yeah, I'm not dissing Rastafari. Rastafari, we give thanks. His Imperial Majesty, he showed us the way. Knowledge never ceases. We have to go on searching and searching. And here I am, I'm searching and I'm moving on. So that was like a taboo in the Rastafari movement, to say, how can you diss His Imperial Majesty and you are saying the journey continues to African spirituality? So what you first is also what we see in Malawi, the same kind of experience when one is moving on, not necessarily dissing, because even for me, where I stand, I don't, I did not renounce His Imperial Majesty as a person who, or as a king who showed us the way, and I still get much inspiration from the life and exemplary life of His Imperial Majesty, right? So, but for others, they would interpret it as something that you are renouncing and you are rejecting everything to do with Rastafari, which is not the case. You can see here.
Yeah,
do you
it's
see
not
the screen?
case. Yes.
You see the screen? Yeah. So I want to talk about this picture briefly in relation to what we are just discussing now.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just make one comment then to wrap up that section about me. Okay. So you have to understand, from my perspective,
yes,
right? The main instruction from Haile Selassie to me and my community of Black people in America and Rastafari people is come home and help the development, improve the quality of life of our people, right? Come home, repatriate. So for me, the central practical aspect of Rastafari was returning to Africa, okay? And again, this is what he instructed Mortimer Plano to do, and this is what he instructed Malcolm X to do. So for me, as a young Ras, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do with my life? The greatest thing that I could do in fulfillment of Garvey, in fulfillment of Rastafari, in fulfillment of Malcolm, the greatest thing I could do is to help contribute to what? Leaving the Babylon, leaving the West physically, and coming back home and struggling to make home on the African continent better. When I went to Shashamani, in my mind as a young Ras, when you take the religious aspect, 144,000 called, chosen, and faithful. At that time, I was thinking that if you are a Rastafari, and you make it to Shashamani, the land that was given by His Majesty, that must means that in some spiritual calculation, you're worthy. Like you're chosen. So when I get to Shashamani, I'm thinking this is the highest level of liberty. These are the Rosses that are holding the liberty the strongest, who have the clearest vision, who are going to demonstrate for the whole African people Inity. When I got there and I saw that the community in it was, that's not what it was. It was in bad shape. When I really started to get the realization, wow, the Rastafari community, in spite of what it teaches and preaches, is no better than any other religious community. That hurt me. How is it that these people with such strong word sound power, blessed to be among the pioneer settlers of the first land grant from His Majesty, are there going through all this foolishness? Can't even unite amongst themselves, and you're on the land grant in Zion. That was step number one of my disillusionment. By the time we get to 2007, and we didn't, right? So, you know, we have a saying, you know the tree by the fruit that it bears. When I left the Rastafari movement, I didn't leave His Majesty or his work. If you look at what I have done since then, and the fruit that it bears, I have what? Found a way to what? Repatriate and help others come, find their vine and fig tree, and get their citizenship. And in the process of doing that, I ended up representing our people at the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in United. Like, I rose to the highest international forums as that ambassador, as that champion, doing the same work that I tried to do with the repatriation census within the movement. I took out of the movement and got better results. This is my answer to those people at that time saying that I was an imposter, right? I was CIA, right? My answer to that is my works. What did I do after that? All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, great. Yeah. So, before I get to the picture here, something that I wanted to also propose to you, as we when we part after this session, is that if possibly, if we can get people or all the brothers and sisters who started trotting Rastafari and then gravitated towards African spirituality, if possible, if we can create that network. Tau is one of the elders from Rastafari, very much deep into African spirituality. Yourself, myself, there could be others as well. If we can create that network to amplify the works of His Majesty from a different perspective of African spirituality, not from within the Rastafari, but still championing the vision and the aspiration of His Majesty. I don't know how feasible is that project to bring together.
No, it's very feasible. I think you and I together can reach out to Tau, and then we can put out. We can talk about it. Kind of set it. It can start out as just, you know, a Zoom conversation or something. And we can put out a call for others who are I mean, to me, it's very feasible, and I think it is well needed and can be some of the first fruit coming out of this symposium that we just attended.
Yes. Good. Yeah. No. Then I'm excited because the purpose of writing that book, yes, on the surface, someone would say it's about Rastafari. It ends there, but it's a book that goes beyond Rastafari, because the last chapter of the book speaks to African spirituality, to say it's a journey that one can go through from Rastafari and then it can end, or it can go beyond Rastafari to African spirituality, but with roots from Rastafari. So yes, it has presented the history of how everything started in Malawi pertaining to Rastafari, the visit of His Majesty to Malawi, all the details that one would look for, how the organized movement, Rastafari as an organized movement began, the first congregations, the first elders, and all that. Everything, you find it there. But then the last chapter then speaks about, or touches on, the aspect of those that were trotting Rastafari, and then they found resonance in African indigenous spirituality and moved on. And there are examples of such brethren and sisters to say what is their perspective of Rastafari and their experiences towards in Rastafari and up to African spirituality. So that's how the book ends. So for someone would be excited to say, if you are a Rasta, say, oh yeah, it's a book about me, so let's get it. But then as you finish the book, it takes you to ask questions, to say,
yes,
but then how possible is this? Okay, this is also a journey that one can also take, and it may end here. So basically that was the inspiration, inspired by His Majesty himself, to take up this project. So probably it was also a calling, or something from the ancestors, that it starts in 2005, 2006, as you saw that email, but it has taken 20 years to be finished.
Wow.
So if it had ended in 2010, 2012, this aspect
would have been lost.
But it has been delayed, not delayed, but more research happening, more experiences.
It was maturing.
Maturing, that is the right word. Until 2026, after 20 years, you can see that email that we're exchanging about Jabari and all that. 20 years now, the book comes out, and then comes out in that fashion. And then I get connected with you, and then we are talking about how do we amplify, or how do we take this mission further beyond this book. So do you see the connection?
You know, as soon as we finish, the first thing I'm going to do is send the recording to Jabari, right? Okay. Jabari has a whole archive.
Okay.
Video, he has a whole archive, even from back to that time, to all these things we discussed. He has a whole archive that I don't think he's ever pulled out and gone back to look at. And now this might be the very thing that provokes him to go and pull that. Some of it has to be translated, because some of it is on like 8-track tapes and cassette tapes, and not on. But he has a lot of that stuff still. So I'm going to send him this recording first thing. But yeah, this again, I told you that it is not by coincidence.
Yes, no, not at all, not at all.
We came back together, and now we are remembering the roots of all these things that are now converging. Yes.
Yeah.
So you were going to say something about this picture.
Okay. So yes. So it's a continuation of what we are talking about right now. To say, if you look at the book cover, that's His Imperial Majesty in Malawi, when he visited Malawi, August 1965. So 3 paramount kings representing the 3 provinces of Malawi crowned His Imperial Majesty as the great king of Malawi. So that's what you see on the book cover, is the coronation ceremony that was being conducted by the 3 paramount kings to crown His Imperial Majesty and confer him a title, Great King of Malawi. So the other one is the
Let me share it real quick so that people can see it.
The king. Yes. So the other one standing besides His Majesty is one of the 3 kings now doing the coronation. So he's given that animal skin hat and a traditional knockerberry, and the shield, right? And then that piece of cloth to symbolize the king. So the three paramount kings are actually saying, you are a king above all of us. So you are the great king of Malawi. So that one standing beside His Majesty is the king of the Ngoni people, or rather the Zulu people, because the Zulu people of South Africa, some of them migrated from South Africa in the 1800s and settled in Zimbabwe, some are in Zambia, some are in Tanzania, and others settled in Malawi. So we have Zulu people in Malawi until today who originally migrated from South Africa from, yes, but they are called Ngoni people. So that one standing beside His Majesty is the Zulu king, is the king of the Zulu people of Malawi. Right?
Wow, okay, I understand.
Yes. So symbolically, he represents all the Zulu. You get the point?
Yes, so, it's crystal clear. You don't need the biblical reference to recognize the divine energy present in His Majesty.
Yes. So that's what is happening there, and that's what the picture is all about. But the visit of His Majesty has been discussed in much more detail in the book, what actually happened, where he went to, and all that. But the climax of the visit is what is depicted on the book cover, the coronation of His Majesty as the great king of Malawi by the three paramount kings, led by the Zulu king of Malawi, who is the one standing beside His Majesty. So what I wanted to talk about then about the book is that during the visit, to talk about the picture rather, during the visit, he was taken by the prime minister of the country then to a mountain plateau in the then capital city of Malawi. Now it's Lilongwe, but then it was Zomba. So in Zomba, we have a mountain plateau. So he climbed that mountain to a spot about 6,000 feet above sea level. So when you get there, you have a panoramic view, yes, of the of the areas, or rather, I would say so, that because the Zomba is a flat plain, like a flat plain. So when you get to that mountain, you can see, that nice view of the plains, down the Zomba and even the surrounding districts. So His Majesty went to that mountain with his entourage and escorted by the government to that spot. So the spot where he stood to have that panoramic view was named the Emperor's View. Up to now, that spot is called the Emperor's View because that's where His Majesty went to enjoy that nice view of the area and all that. So it's still called the Emperor's View, and you come to Malawi, that's one of the places.
I'm going to ask you one promise when I come to Malawi that you take me to Emperor's View.
Emperor's View, yes. And Nyabingi groundations are held at that spot from the mid-90s when Rastafari emerged as an organized movement that became a spot for the pilgrimage, right? So Jabari, if you ask him, Jabari, I think Jabari went there as well. If you ask him,
I will ask him.
You should have visited that place. And so you have
I wanted to say, because of Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, I see how strong Rastafari in Malawi and Nyabingi and how much it has grown and how much the eyes in those gatherings is so full. Okay, more than I see in most other places.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So you okay? The sharing has paused. Okay, yeah. Let
But
me stop
I can see
sharing.
the picture on my screen.
Okay, but let me open another picture very quickly,
Okay.
which is relevant to what we are talking about. Before I talk about that picture I just
Okay.
beamed. So very shortly, where am I? Where am I? There's another picture just remembered. Okay. Beside that one, where's that one? Okay. Just a moment. All right. Okay. All right. So, okay. Let me get back to that one. Yeah. So that's the history about the emperor's view, which is still there up to this very moment. And this picture, you can see it on the screen now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the emperor's view, right? The picture was taken right at the spot of the emperor's view. And this was on the 16th of March, 2021. Ghana Independence Day, 2021. The practitioners of African spirituality went to the emperor's view to pour a libation for His Imperial Majesty on the independence of Ghana. So you can see there, I'm there.
Yes.
And this brethren is also coming from the Rastafari. And this one holding an ankh is also used to be a priest, a young priest in the Rastafari, in the Naya Bingi, and then Bobo Ashanti, and is now a practitioner of African spirituality. So then the others are just practitioners without a background of Rastafari. So we organized a pilgrimage to go to the emperor's view as practitioners of African spirituality to pour a libation for His Imperial Majesty for his role as an African ancestor in liberation of the continent and all that. So that is the first time that practitioners of African spirituality are going to the emperor's view, the spot where His Majesty reached and enjoyed that panoramic view. And it's from then the government named the place Emperor's View, and that was it. So you can see the calling that practicing African spirituality, but you are still paying homage to His Imperial Majesty as one of the African ancestors and pouring a libation, which to some Rastafari brethren and sisters would not be happy about, to say, why libation and His Imperial Majesty? But for us,
and he's still here, he never died, right? Yes.
Things like those. So that's what the picture is about. And then the other one, I can't locate it, but it's in the book. But then I can share this one. This one now is in the same spot, the Emperor's View, as I told you that every year. This was 60th anniversary of his 60th anniversary of the visit of His Imperial Majesty to Malawi last year, August. So there was a groundation of Rastafari groundation at the Emperor's View. So from the 1990s, there are groundations happening there. But then for the first time, African spirituality practitioners also get to that same spot to pour a libation for His Imperial Majesty. And it has also been captured in the book. So basically, that's what I wanted to share with you. And when you come, we can also go there together and pour a libation for His Imperial Majesty on that.
It's a must. It's a must.
Over to you. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is a great way for us to seal up this first reasoning. since our reunification. We now have some work, some project to do. I will reach out. Together, we'll reach out to Tao Tao and some others that we may know that are suitable for this and have some kind of round table or panel or event to deal with that particular subject matter, which I think would be of great interest to a lot of people, both in Rastafari, in Pan-Africanism, in African spirituality. I think we have a lot to say, a lot to contribute. But for me, it's just been a joy to revisit this past, some of which I forgot, some of which I have recorded. You know, I wrote 5 volumes, 1,200 pages on that period. I documented everything. So all the emails, everything is there. Not too many people have ever purchased this, but sometimes those things, they have to wait until later. Maybe 100 years from now, people will realize the significance of that, the last 5 years before the Ethiopian millennium. And what it was that the Rastafari movement was doing, right, at that moment, at some point, is going to become of great interest to people. And to have a contemporary record, 5 volumes, 1,200 pages, right, that includes all the real-time communications like the one you just showed, those emails, all of those are compiled in that book between me, people like yourself, definitely Junior Negus, General Salam and Rasta Youth Inity, and Ras Peter, and many other elders from around the world, right? That is going to be a great treasurable resource. And then from that, we have brethren like me. I wrote a book documenting Haile Selassie's visit to America. You did the same work. You wrote a book documenting Haile Selassie's visit. So when I started off in Malawi, so when I started off this conversation saying we really have been on parallel journey, right? It's true, right? And we've been in our own capacities, in our own way, with the same inspiration, doing our work and producing works to contribute to this particular area of our struggle and our liberation as it relates to Pan-Africanism, spirituality, Rastafari, and just world history, truth. So this has been special.
Sure.
Very special. I will upload this recording and then send it to you so you have it. And I'm going to send it out to some people to generate some interest as an offshoot of the African Spirituality Symposium 2026. They didn't know that they were bringing us together to have this is like an extra workshop that they didn't
exactly from yesterday. It didn't end yesterday. It's continuing.
It didn't end yesterday.
I'll talk to the organizers to say why you closed the workshop yesterday. We continued yesterday with that informal discussion. When we closed, we continued on the next day, engaging beyond the symposium. So it's wonderful.
So with that, we'll seal up. It has been a joy. And as we say here in Guinea-Bissau, no sta junto. That means we are together again. But this time there will not be a separation and a disconnection. Now we are together like this till the end.
Fluid, sure. All right, no, great. Right. So you talk to Tao Tao, right?
Yes.
Yes,
I do.
Others, so that if you can also create a WhatsApp group similar to
I will do
the one you created, just for those of us.
This project.
For this project, for those of us with the background of Rastafari, then getting into African spirituality, and then see how we can contribute to the actualization of the vision of His Imperial Majesty from the African spirituality perspective. So
Yes.
that would be wonderful. Yeah.
You see,
And
our work that we were doing in 2004, 5, 6, it is still continuing now.
Continuing. Yeah. It was just a break and still continuing. Yeah. Good. Great. Yeah, sure. So same to you. You share me the link and we take it up from there.
We go forward.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.